yesterday so that we would know if we all are getting what we have been discussing. So, based on the assignment that was given, we were told to solve some questions based on JB Bike Shop. So, the first thing we have here is our header. So, our header here is motorcycle brand, motorcycle brand. Then the next is number, number per month, number per month. Then the next is peripheral, minor service, minor service, major service, and luxury. Okay. Then we have the list of Yamaha, we have Ducati, we have Kawasaki, then we have KTM, we have Harley Davidson, we have Honda, and we have BMW. Okay, then we have our total, then our maximum. What other thing do we have again? So the first thing says we should open a new Excel workbook and type the features database, okay, exactly as it appears. So the first thing we need to do is we need to change the orientation of our header. So how do we change the orientation? We can change our orientation under the alignment. You can see the orientation, then we change it to this. Control Z, we're not merging any cells. Okay, good. I think this is good enough. Then the next is the fill color. Then the fill
Hello,
color is what?
hello, hold on,
Yes,
please, kindly go back. It shows something that merge, and it's supposed to merge. Okay, you started
we
from
are
cell
not.
2. You didn't start from cell 1.
Okay, the cell one is
Mm-hmm. That
JB
is.
Bike Shop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a match cell. So we have JB Bike Shop. So then the next one is for us to change the orientation. So we can change the orientation here. So we can just autofill is okay, good. Then the next is numbers of months. We have 17, 4, 13. We have 14, 5, 10, 8. Then we have this is 280. We have 1,290. So we have 410. We have 220. We have 1,140. And we have 7:30. So I think this is all we have. So now let's fill this color. The color says fill color is blue accent 5. Okay. I think we should have that somewhere here. Blue accent 5, 40% color. Okay. Then for the JB Bike Shop, this is a mild cell. So we can merge this. Then the font color also. Okay, the next is for us to fill this with border. Okay. So then what's the next? Okay, we are going to fill our total and maximum. So here we also have a merge cell here, which is number of luxury motorcycle service. Okay. And the fill color is also this. Okay. So at this point, do we have any question before we move further?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. So now the next thing is we move down to number 2. Number 2 says we should use an appropriate function to calculate the total number of bikes serviced per month. That's on cell B10. So what function do we use to calculate the total? We can use our sum function, which is equals to sum. Then we highlight all our months. So we have that. So that is solved. Then the next question is in cell B11, use an appropriate function to calculate the maximum number per month. So here we have our maximum function equals to max. So we'll highlight all our number per month. Then this is the maximum number. Then the next question says validate cells for minor service. This is minor service. We're told to validate these cells such that only numbers between 0 and 4,000, only numbers between 0 and 4,000 will be allowed. Okay, so this is our data validation that we did yesterday. So how do we validate this cell? It would accept only values between 0 and 4,000. So you navigate to your data, go to your data validation, data validation. So under our data validation, we have a whole number. So under the whole number, under the whole number, you have several options under the data. It can be greater than or equal to, not between. So here we want between. So my minimum number should be 0
Hello,
and
please
my
hold on.
maximum.
Hello, please. I'm not seeing what you are showing. It's only stopped at the data. and I'm not seeing anything anymore.
Okay.
When you move to data, when you click the data validation, I didn't see all that.
Okay. So this is what I'll try to do. I'll try to share my entire screen. Okay, good.
Now this is only what I saw just now. So I didn't know how you go to this place. Just from the
Okay,
data
good.
validation.
So we are we have validated the minor service, we have validated the cells, and we want to validate this in such a way that it will accept data between 0 to 4,000. So we'll go to our data, go to our data validation. Then instead of selecting any values, we want it to allow numbers between 0 to 4,000, and that's the whole number. So I'm selecting between for my data. Then the minimum value is 0 and the maximum is 4,000. And the question says we should write an appropriate input message and error message. So this is an input message. So what title should we give it? We can say, okay, value, input message. Value must be between, or value must not be greater than 4,000. Greater than 4,000. Then an error message. So this should say error. Then what should be the error message? Value is greater than 4,000. Then we click on OK. So this has been validated. Any value we are inputting here, if it is greater than 4,000, it won't accept it. So let's say this is 5,000, 1, 2, 3. So value is greater than 4,000. That's a pop-up message. So we've solved that. So the question 1, 2, 3, 4 has been done. The set has been validated. We have our input message and we have our error message also. So now the price for a minor service for every motorcycle brand is twice price peripheral to be used. So we have our peripheral. So minor service says it is twice our peripheral. So we know our peripheral is twice of this. So equals this multiplied by 2. Then we can fill that down. That's for that. Now the second one is our major service price is 10% of total number of bike service per month multiplied by our minor service price for each brand. So we're told 10%. 10%. Let me format this cell as 10%. Okay, good. So it says what? Our major price is what? 10% of total numbers of bike service per month. So this is equals to numbers of these times our 10% multiplied by minor service. These are minor service. Then we can fill this down. Please, do we have any question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
What is the dollar sign before the J2? You did multiplication and I saw dollar sign instead of just inputting the J2 alone.
Okay, good. That's a good question. So, it is called referencing. So under why you'll be using Excel, you come across a situation whereby you need to reference your cell. You have a relative reference and an absolute reference. So what do I mean by that? So let's say you have a set of numbers. So I have, let me generate some numbers. So I have some numbers between, okay, good. So I have this set of numbers. And I want to multiply these numbers by 5. This set of numbers, I want to multiply it by 5. Then multiplication. And these are my numbers. So I want to multiply these by 5. So here I'll do equals to, this is my number. I've selected my number. And then shift 8. Then I'm clicking on my 5. Then I hit on my enter. So this has done my 100 multiplied by 5. So if I fill this down, what did you notice? You will notice that my 77 multiplied by 5 is showing me 0, which is not what I want to do. All I want to do is I want to multiply this set of numbers by 5 alone. So how do I know that? How do I know where the error comes from? Then I can put my cell on edit mode to know what exactly is happening. So if you look closely, you will see that the cells, it has moved from 100 to 77, but where you are multiplying it, it has moved from 5 to the next cell. So which means your cells, they keep moving down by 1 step. So if you look at this also, so it is moving from 5 down to the next cell, down to the next cell, but that's not what you want. So as your cell is moving down to the next cell, that is a relative reference. How do you make it absolute? You want to fix it. You want it to be stagnant. You want to lock that particular cell in such a way that it won't move. What do you do? In this case, you need to lock that cell by using your F4. So this is my equals to 100 multiplied by my 5, which is T3. So before you hit your lock cell T3 by pressing your F4 function, if you have a keyboard that has a function Fn beside your control key, so you need to press your Fn key, then your F4. But if not, if you are using a normal keyboard, then you can just click on your F4. So in this case, function F4. So you will see that there's a $sign now, showing that the row and column has been logged, which is a absolute reference. So now if you fill this down, you see that it is only your column R that is moving down to the next cell. You now have R6, you have, when you move down to the next one, you have R7, but your 5 is stagnant. You have locked that particular cell. You don't want that 5 to move further. So that is absolute reference. But the other set is a relative reference. It keeps moving. I hope you understand that. Do you understand that?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, good. So in this case, if you look at the question that you have, it says that your major service is 10% of the total number of bike serviced per month. This is number of bike service per month, then 10% of it. Since I want to be multiplying this by 10%, all I need to do is make my cell J an absolute reference. Then the question says 10% of these multiplied by minor service. So since I already know that I'm doing my equals to, I'm opening a bracket, this by my 10% function F4, then I'm closing this, multiply by the minor service. Then I'm filling this down. Do we understand that now? So the next is luxury. So what does that says? It says determine whether a motorcycle brand is luxury motorcycle brand or not. Use an if function to fill the luxury column with yes if it is greater than 8,000. Otherwise, no. So what this is telling us that we should use an if statement, we should use an if condition to show whether the major service is greater than 8,000 or not. If it is greater than 8,000, we should say yes. If it is not greater than 8,000, then we should say no. So how do we do that? We type our equals to if. What's our logical test? Our logical test is the major service greater than 8,000. So I can say if my E3 is greater than 8,000, then what should you do? Is it 8,000 or 800? What should you do? Then you should do yes, good. If not, you should do what? Should write no. So this is greater than my 800. Then I'm filling this down. Good. So in this case, we have our luxury car or luxury motorbike. Then the last question says, using your sum if. So we did sum if. Compute the total quantity of luxury brands that got serviced by JB Bike Shops. So since we already know that if it is luxury, it is yes. So let me type it here for you so that yes means it is luxury. So you want to use your sum if function. Sum if in function level compute the total quantity of luxury motorcycle brand that got serviced by. Okay, good. So we are summing the major service. So equals to sum if so the first criteria is what's your range. This is my range, comma. What's my criteria? My criteria is yes. So I can use this and I'm fixing this. Function F4. Good. Then what's my sum range? My sum range is my major service. Is it number of luxury? Okay. Number per month. Then that's 47. I think that's the assignment that was given to us to solve. That's all. So do we have any question? Any question? No.
Yes,
Okay. So,
yes.
okay, what's the question?
Yeah, yesterday, while we were doing some if, we were doing some if
Okay.
it is greater than 80, we had list of numbers in different columns like this. We did not use the absolute what do you call it? Absolute something. We didn't use that. But
Okay, we do
now,
not use absolute
yes,
and cell reference.
yeah,
Okay,
we
good.
only did the cell referencing, but we didn't use the absolute. We didn't use the F4 function.
Okay. So in cases where you need to use your referencing, there are cases when you know that your input might change. So in this case, what if you are told to give us the numbers of non-luxury cars that were serviced? You know, here we are told to calculate the numbers of luxury car that was serviced. Now, if this is changed to no, you can see that our sum if answer has automatically changed. If we are not using that, so let's assume we have our yes standing alone and we have our no standing alone. And we want to use our sum if for this function. So I want to know the total numbers of motorcycles for the yes and total numbers of motorcycles for the no. How do I go about this? Using the sum if. So if you look at this, I'm saying equals to sum if, and the range is this, which is my yes. Then I hit my comma. Then the next is the criteria. The next is the criteria. So I'm clicking on my criteria, which is cell J4. I hit my comma. Then what's my sum range, which is the number per month. Then I hit my enter. How would you want this to move down to no when you click and drag down? So when you click and drag down, then you press your F2 to look at what's happening. If you look at what has happened, you will see that from your J4, it has moved down to J5. If you look at your range has been selected from F4, then it has increased down to F10. But you don't want it to move. You want to select this same range. But what you are working with is between your F3 down to F9. But as you drag down from the first cell down to the next cell, you will see that it keeps increasing. So if I click this, or let's say we have another yes here, and we have another no. At least we are meant to have the same 47 and 24. So if you click dragging down, what do we have? You can see that it keeps changing. Our yes here is 26. What happens when you put this on edit mode? You can see that it has moved 3 steps now. 1, 2, 3. It has moved from the first, second to the third yes. I hope you understand. But since you don't want it to keep increasing, you want it to be fixed, then you use your F4. Do you understand? But if you know you don't want it to be fixed, you want the cell to be changing, that is where you don't need to use your absolute reference. So in this case, we Control Z. In this case, we can do it like this. Or if you feel, okay, you are finding it difficult to use the absolute reference and relative reference, you can also put it in text. So using your equals to sum if, then what's your range? You have selected your range. Then comma, what's your criteria? Your criteria is yes. So you ensure you put your yes, comma, then what's your sum range? This is my sum range. Then I hit my enter, which is 47. So it is still the same thing. Is either you specify it in your formula or you reference it. Do we understand? Do we understand now? Okay. So what we'll be doing today is the average function, the mean and maximum formula, date and time, how we'll join text together. So how do we use the average function? Just the way it implies. Average. You want to know the midpoint of some numbers. So how do you use the average function? Now just type your equals to average. Then the argument is number one, number two. So these numbers you want to average. So instead of you selecting the number one after the other, you can decide to select the range of cells you want to average. So in this case, I'm averaging this set of numbers, then I'm hitting my enter. Same thing goes to this also, equals to average. Then I'm hitting my enter. So this is my G6. Okay, good. So we can also do that here also. Can also do that. Do we have this practice file, please? Please confirm that you have this practice file. Please confirm that you have this practice file. Okay. So what we'll be doing now is the maximum and the minimum. So for the maximum, same thing goes to you do your equals to maximum, equals to max, then you select the range of cells. Then here we know our maximum. Okay, this is minimum. This is equals to main. Then we select our cells. Then we hit our enter. Same thing goes to the maximum, equals to maximum. Then you highlight the range of cells. Then our maximum number here is 50. So you can also do that for this item and the amount that we have. So we'll be going next to the date and time. So while we'll be working with Excel or working with our data, would find it very useful to be able to navigate ourselves while using dates. How are we going to be using date functions? While we work now, I want to know today's date. With the function equals today, you open your parentheses and you close it, then you hit your enter. This will give you today's date. If you want to know today's date with time also, you can also just type your now equals to now. You open your parentheses and you close that. So this will show you your dates and time together. And I would want us to understand that dates are also numbers. Dates are also numbers. So you can add dates, you can subtract dates. So how do I do that? So was today's date? So today's date is equals today. Good. So was your birthday? So your birthday is let's say you're born in equals to dates. You're born in 1995. You're born in February. That's 16. Good. So days until your birthday is this. So while you'd work with dates, you would always need to use your day function, the date function, the year function, end of the month, EO month, your dated if, your date difference. How do you know the numbers of working days in a month, in a year? So let's say we have equals to dates, equals to dates. So we have 2023, then the month is January, then the day is 1. Then we have our December also. So we have 2023, we have our month to be December, then we have our day to be 31st. So how do we know the numbers of working days between these two dates? All you need to do is just use your equals to network days. It would return numbers of work days between two dates. You can also use your network days INTL. That you can specify your weekends. So I would use the two now. This is network days. Network days. What's the start date? This is the start date, and the end date is this. Then we have 260 work days in a year. We have 260 work days in a year. So what if you use the network days international? Equals to network days international. What's your start date? You have selected your start date. What's your end date? You have selected your end date. Do you wish to specify your weekend? Yes. So you have several functions. Is your weekend Saturday, Sunday in your whole country? Is it Monday, Tuesday? So here the weekend is Saturday, Sunday, which is 1, and I'm hitting my enter. So it gives me 260, 260. So for your network days, what does it specify? It requests for the start date, the end date, and the holidays. And for network days international, you have a start date, end date, weekend, and holidays. These are the major arguments for the network days. So when you have a date, just the way we have these two sets of dates, I don't know the day, I don't know the month, and I don't know the year. How do I do that? Or I want to bring out the day, the month, and year. You can do that by using the day function that equals to day. Then you select the serial number. You can also use your months equals to months. Then you select the serial number. It will give you the month. Then same thing to year. You can select your year. Then you select this equals to year. So you can use your day. You can use your months function. Then you can also use your year function. So I have a date Then I want the date to show me the text format for this. So it's either it is in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It will write it out in full for me, or it will write the month for me. So if it is in year, year is specified as Y, month is specified as M, and day is specified as D. So I have a date, then I want to bring out the day. So I'm saying equals to text. What value? This is my date. I've selected my date. Then the next argument is, it is asking me for what format. I want it to be in day. So I'll ensure I put it in my code. So if I specify D in 4 places, then I hit my enter, then this is telling me that the day in this date is Sunday. If it is months that I want, then I'm saying equals to text. Then I'm selecting my date. Then I want my month. Then I'll ensure that my month is in MMM. Then I hit my enter. So it's telling me Sunday, January. Same thing goes to if it is year. So I'm saying equals to text. I'm selecting my dates. Then I want it to be in year. So then the year is 2023. I hope we understand this. So the next is our joining text and numbers. So how do we join our text? So there are several ways you can join your text. You can use the ampersand sign, which is the and. You can use your join. You can use your text join also. So how do you go about the ampersand sign? So I want to join Andy and not, or I want to join them together and separate them using comma. So how do I do this? So I can just say equals to Andy, then using my and, joining it together with my comma, then I select my not, F2, and my not. Good. But if you look closely, you see that the not and the comma, they are together. So it means you still need a space bar. So how do you do that? So you need to put your space in quotes also. Then you join this with your and, then which is this. So you can now fill this down. Then we have this. So same thing goes to this. Here you don't want your comma. All you need is the space bar. So I'm saying equals to this and my space and my notes. Now I'm hitting my enter. So I'm filling this down. That's that for we joining our text. So I think we've talked about this earlier, how we format our dates to text and numbers. So the next is our if statement. So while using your Excel, it is, should I say, impossible or almost impossible for you not to use your if statement one way or the other. You'd get to a situation where you would want to put some conditions, or you want some actions to meet some criteria. So it is must that you would need to use your if conditions. So how do you use your if statements? So I have this, that if this is apple, say it is true. If not, say it is false. So how do you write that? First, let's bring out the argument for if. So the argument for if is the logical test, then the value if true, and the value if false. Now, the statement we have here is, if it is apple, I want you to say true. If it is not apple, I want you to say false. How do you do that? Using your if statement. So using the if statement, I can write my statement saying equals to if, and I press my tab. So what's my logical test? My logical test is, if what is in this cell is equals to apple, what should it do if it is apple? I want you to say true. If not, I want you to say false. So then I close my parentheses. So if I fill this down, then this is telling me that orange is not apple. So what if I decide to change my apple to mango? My if statement should automatically notify me that this is not apple. If I change my orange back to apple, then it should tell me that this is apple. You can also do the same thing for numbers also. Setting a criteria that if a number meets the criteria that you set, then it should do this for you. If not, it should do otherwise. So I have a set of numbers. I have a set of numbers, say numbers between 10 to 200. I have a set of numbers. Good. So for these numbers, so the criteria is, if it is greater than 70, it should say high. If not, it should say low. That is the criteria. The criteria is greater than 70. If it's greater than 70, then it should say high. If not, it should say low. So, and I want to write my if condition here. Equals to if, what's my logical test? My logical test is, if this is greater than 70, what should be the value if it is greater than 70? I want you to say high. Please, when you are putting text in your formula, ensure it is in quotes. Should say high. Otherwise, it should say low. Then if you fill this down, then this is telling us that we have some numbers that are greater than 70 and some that are lower than 70. Now, this now comes down to, what if you are given a set of numbers that will need to meet two criteria? That is where we will now start having our AND function and OR function. So let's say you have been given a criteria that if your number is greater than 70 but less than 120, if it is this, then what should you do? You should say high. If not, it should say higher. That is the criteria. If it is greater than 70 and it is less than 120, it should say high. Let me insert a new column here. Good. So it should say high. Then if it is greater than 120, then it should say low. If it is greater than 120, it should say higher. Good. So what if it is less than 70? If it is less than 70, it is less than 70, then it should say low. So this brings us to our AND function. You have your AND and you have your OR function. Let me put this here for you. You have the AND function and you have your OR function. So when you have two inputs and you are using AND function, for you to have your output, then the two inputs must be true before your output will be true. That is for AND. But for OR, when one of the input is true, then you have your output. What do I mean by that? So if this is false and this is false, then for AND, for your AND, then this will be false. If this is true and the second input is false, for your AND, this will be false. If this is false and the second input is true, for your AND, this is false. If this is true and the second input is true, then your output will be true. But reverse is the case for your OR function. If this is false and the second input is false also, your output will be false. If any of the input is true for your OR, then your output will be true. So we have this. So the criteria says if it is less than 70, then it should say low. If it is greater than 70 but less than 120, then it should say high. Then if it is greater than 120, then it should say higher. So how do we do that? So that's where our AND function comes in. So here is equals to if, then we are bringing in our AND function. So I would want us to start with the first one before we now join everything together. So the first argument is using our AND is if this is greater than 0 and this is less than 70. That's our logical test. If it meets this criteria, what should it do? It should say it is low. Otherwise, it should say high. Otherwise, it should say high. So if you drag this down, if you fill this down, then looking at this set of numbers, this meets the criteria that we set, that if it is less than 70 and it is greater than 0, then it should give us low. So for every cell that has given us low here, if you look at it, then they are less than 70. The ones that are showing high, they are the ones that are greater than 70. Now, I want to add another argument to this, which is if it is greater than 70, if it is greater than 70 but less than 120, to say high, but if it's greater than 120, to say higher. So I'm typing my equals to if, then my logical test is and. So the first is if this is greater than 0, comma, then if this is less than 70. So if it meets this particular criteria, what should it do? It should say low. Then the second argument, again, which is our second criteria, that if this is between 70 and 120, if it is greater than 70, but it is less than 120, what should it do? Then this is another criteria also. We can also put another if in this, saying if, then you put your AND function also. So what's the second criteria? If it is greater than 170, if this is greater than 70, comma, and this is less than 120, and I'm closing this parenthesis, what should you do? Then it should say it is high. Otherwise, what should it do? Then it should say higher. Then we are closing these parentheses also. There is a bracket that we are yet to. Okay, this is greater than 0. What's that? If this is greater than 0 and it's less than 70, it should write low. Okay, Okay, good. Then if you fill this down, then if you look at this, for the ones that are low, then you see that they are less than 70. The ones that are low, they are less than 70. The ones that are high, they are greater than 70, but they are less than 120. So the ones that are high, this is 80, we have 75, we have 118, then we have 74. So these are the ones that are high. Then the ones that are higher, they are the ones that are greater than 120. Please, do we have any question? Any question, please? Please, do we have any question? Okay, good. I think just give me a second. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's for the if statements. So I would want us to pick another one here too. So we've done the simplest one and we've done the advanced one for the if statements also. Now here would be moving down to a VLOOKUP. So what does this VLOOKUP means? So VLOOKUP means a vertical lookup. And we have HLOOKUP also. The H is a horizontal lookup. So V would look up your values for you vertically from a data set, and HLOOKUP will look up your values for you horizontally in a data set. You have lookup also. Apart from that, you have your XLOOKUP that would also look to the left and right for you. So you have your lookup, you have your lookup, you have your lookup, okay. So you have your lookup, you have your VLOOKUP, you have your VLOOKUP, and you have your HLOOKUP, you have your VLOOKUP, have your HLOOKUP, you have your XLOOKUP, so if you look closely, you'll see how they are all related. So for VLOOKUP, it looks up vertically. So what are your arguments? The argument is your lookup value, then your table array, your column index number, and the range lookup. So all these things I'm saying, they are big grammars. So I would want us to start working on this. So I have a table. So I have this table. So let's assume this table is as large as 1,000. Then we have different fruits in it, and they have their different prices and amounts. And I want to bring out the price or the amount for orange in the table I have. Then VLOOKUP is a proper function to use. So how do I go about this? When you input your equals to VLOOKUP, the first argument that shows up is the lookup value. My lookup value that I'm looking for is my apple. I've selected my apple. Then I hit my comma. Then the next argument is my table array. In what table am I looking for apple? So then I select my table. Then I hit my comma. So what column number do you want me to return? Do you want me to return apple? Do you want me to return fruits? Or do you want me to return the amount? So I want you to return the amount for me. So if you look at this table, your amount is on the second column, while your fruit is on the first column. So this is the second column. You want us to return second column. So I'll type my 2. Then I hit my comma. The next argument is your range lookup. Do you want it to return an approximate match, or you want it to return an exact match? I want this to return the exact match. I want it to return the exact amount of the apple. So I'm selecting the exact match. Then I hit on my enter. So if you look at this, my amount for my apple is 50. And if you do the same thing for pork also, so equals to VLOOKUP, and my lookup value is my pork. My table array is this. Then I want to return the amount, column 2. Then I have my exact match, which is this. Do we understand this? Please, do we understand this?
Yes, understood.
Okay, good. So I would be sharing a data now so that we would understand this VLOOKUP very well. So we all should have the file now. We all should have the file now.
Yeah, we have this file. This was the first file that was sent to us 2 days ago.
Another file has been shared now.
Presently, we have 3 files. We have formula tutorial, text to column, and welcome to Excel. And what you are working on presently is formula to tutorial.
Okay.
This session 3, we don't have this. We don't have this session 3.
If you check the group now, you'll see this session 3.
Okay.
So kindly confirm you have this session 3 now.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you look at this data is as large as 1,000, 10,000 data. So this is the data that has been exported from a database, let's say a supermarket. So they have different items that they sell. They have different order IDs that are unique for each customers. So let's say in the next 2-3 months, then a customer comes back to make a complaint. Then the customer has its own order ID for you to be able to trace your complaints. Now, the customer has given you an order ID. Then you have this large data set. How would you know the date this person made this complaint? How would you know the date this person made the transaction? Or what type of item did the customer bought? So how would you go about that? In as much as you already have a particular ID or a unique ID for you to be able to track your transaction, then VLOOKUP will make it easy for you. So now, this is our lookup. So these are the set of customers that came to complain. So these are the customers that came to complain. So you have their ID. So from your database, you want to return the date it was shipped. You want to return the unit that was sold to the customer. You want to return the unit price. Then you want to return the unit cost for this particular ID. Would you suggest you want to use your Control F to start finding it manually? No. So what would you do? You use your VLOOKUP. So here, I'm using my equals to VLOOKUP. Then what's my lookup value, which is my order ID? Then I hit my comma. Then the next argument is my table array. So for this particular order ID, where am I looking for the order ID? I'm saying in my database. So here, so you need to be careful when you are using your VLOOKUP. Your lookup value should be where your table array will start from. What you are looking up must not be towards the left. It must not be behind your lookup value, because VLOOKUP will not look up to the left. It will always look up to the right. Let me escape this so that you understand what I'm saying. So what you are trying to look up for is the order ID. So if you go to your database, you will see that you have some items before your order ID. Since you are using your order ID to look up, then this is your first column. Then this is your second column. So anything you are looking up for using this order ID, if it is behind this order ID, your VLOOKUP will not look it up for you. So let me zoom this a bit so that we understand. So from our lookup, we are using our order ID to return the ship date, the unit sold, down to the unit cost. But if you look at your database, you have some parameters before your order ID. While you are using your VLOOKUP will not be able to return anything before this order ID, because your order ID is your lookup value. So anything behind, it won't look it up. So VLOOKUP will always look to the right. It won't look to the left. So now this is our lookup. I'm saying equals to VLOOKUP. What's my lookup value? This is my lookup value, my A3, then my comma. In what table array? Then I go to my table array. Then I'll start from my order ID. I'll select the table to the right, then the entire table. I'll hit my comma. What column do I want to return? I want to return my column 2. Then what is your range of lookup? I want you to return the exact match. Then I hit my enter. So if you do this, then you fill it down, then you should have this. This is your ship date. Then you can also do the same thing for the units sold. So equals to my VLOOKUP. This is my lookup ID. Then I'm selecting my table. I'm selecting my table, comma. Then I'm returning column 3. And what was my lookup range? This is the exact match. So this is telling me that the unit sold is 6,477. Please, we have any question before we move further? Any question? No? Okay. So we'll do the same thing for unit price. So since my unit price and my unit cost, since my unit price and my unit cost, they follow each other, and I've already selected my array. That is from G down to column N. All I need to do is just to change the column number. Copy an existing formula, then change the column number. Here, my column number is column 4 for unit price, then column 5 for the unit costs. So instead of me running the formula all over again, all I need to do is copy this formula, then paste it here, then change the column number. So this is column 4. Then I can fill this down. Then same thing goes to this. I can paste the formula, then change the column to column 5. And I can fill this down. Please, do we have any question?
Yes.
Okay.
For the ship dates,
Okay.
initially before you started, did you validate that ship dates column to have just only dates?
No, it was not validated.
Because it is showing 14, something beside it 14.
Okay.
So,
So that is an add-in. That is an add-in. So if you look at your own Excel, you'll see that you don't have a date picker.
yes.
You don't have a date picker. So for you to have a date picker is an external add-in that you can just add into your Excel. So most of the
Okay.
time when you want to work with dates, maybe you are looking for dates, instead of you going to the Windows calendar, you can just use the date picker that you have. When you select the date picker, the calendar will pop up, then you can just select the dates. So the date picker is popping up because it has noticed that the value you have in this cell It is a date. That's why you're having this 14. It is not data validation.
Okay, thank you.
But if you go to your data itself, so let's copy out an ID. This is an ID, Control C. Then if you go to our data, then we'll find that particular ID. Then you paste. If you find the ID, good. If you look at the date beside it, the ship date, you see that the ship date is 1/1/2017. And that is what this has done for us. It has returned the date for us.
Okay.
So since VLOOKUP will not look to the left, so if you look at this,
Hello, please.
you see
Can you
that,
come again on how you copy that formula?
okay. Okay, good. So let me delete this. So I've already done 2-step, and while selecting my table array, I've selected the table array from my column G down to column N. And I know that what I want to return also falls between this column G to column N. So I want to return my unit price and my unit cost, which is on column 4 and column 5. So since I've already done the lookup, all I need to do is go to my formula bar and copy the formula, Control C, then escape. Then go to the cell I want to paste it. Go to the formula bar also and paste the formula there. So for the column, I change the column to 4. Then I hit my enter. Same thing goes to the second one. On my formula bar, I paste it, then I change my column number to 5. Then I hit my enter. So for this, I can fill this down. Then same thing goes to this also. I can fill this down. So that's for the VLOOKUP. Same thing goes to HLOOKUP. HLOOKUP will also not look to the topmost. Any data that is behind the horizontal value you are looking for, HLOOKUP would also not look for it. So as a result of that, you can use index and match to look up for values that VLOOKUP can't look for. So in this case, we have our order dates behind our order ID. We have the sales channel. So how do we return this since a VLOOKUP cannot do that? This is where our XLOOKUP and index match comes in. So how do you use your XLOOKUP? The XLOOKUP is the easiest. When you type your equals to XLOOKUP, let me bring out the argument first. So this is our XLOOKUP. So our XLOOKUP says the first argument is the are we doing delete equals to XLOOKUP equals to XLOOKUP, and bring out the arguments. Okay, good. Good. So the argument is your lookup value, your lookup array, then your return array. Then the others, they are optional. If it is not found, what should you do? What should you match it with, or where should you go and search? So the basic ones that you will need is your lookup value, lookup array, and the return array. So for my XLOOKUP, I want to use my XLOOKUP saying equals to XLOOKUP. Then the first thing is my lookup value, which is my order ID. then I hit my comma. The next argument is my lookup array. This particular ID, where are you looking it up from? From what array are you looking up this other ID? Then I go to my data, then I can select my other ID. You can select from the topmost down. Then I've selected my other ID, then I hit my comma. Then the next argument is the return array. What do I want to return? I want to return the ship date, the order date rather. I want to return the order date. Then I can return the order date. Then there must have been an error here. Equals to X lookup. Then what's my lookup value? This is my lookup value, A3, comma. My lookup array, then I go to my data. My lookup array is my order ID. Selected that down. Then I'm fixing this. Okay, good. Comma. Then my ship dates. Then I'm selecting this. Then I'll make sure this is absolute. Good. So this has returned. Oh, what do we need to return? We need to return the total revenue, not ship dates. Where's our total revenue? Our total revenue is on column L. Our total revenue is on column L. So this is equals to X lookup. What's our lookup value? Our lookup value is our order ID. I hit my comma. Then the next is the lookup array. Then I'm going to my lookup array. This is my order ID, comma, and the revenue, the total revenue. Then I'm fixing this. Then it's a good. So this is my total revenue. Then I can fill this down. Good. So you can also do the same thing for the total cost. Where do we have our total cost? We have our total cost on column M. So equals to X lookup. What's my lookup value? My order ID is my lookup value. Then I hit my comma. What's my lookup array? So I go to my data bag, then I go and look for my lookup array on the order ID. So I go to my data. This is my lookup array. So the particular ID that I've selected, I want you to look it up in this order ID. So if you have seen it, please return the total cost. So I'm selecting this down. Then I want you to return the total cost for me. I did not fix that. Equals to X lookup. My lookup value is my order ID, comma. Where's my lookup array? My lookup array is my order ID. Good. And I'm fixing this function F4. Good. Comma. And I need to return the total cost. The total cost. Good. Function F4. I hit my enter. Why are you returning value again? What's the error? Starting for G2. M2. Okay, good. So you can now fill this down. Good. And same thing goes to your total profit. So instead of you rerunning the formula all over again, Your total profit is on column what? My total profit is on column N. All I need to do is copy an existing formula, then change the column it will return. I have an existing formula here, then I can change the column. Good. So this is my total profit. Any question, please, before we move down to index and match?
Mm.
No question.
For the VLOOKUP,
Okay.
we highlighted all the datas.
Yes.
Yes, but in this case, we highlighted only the order ID.
Yes. So that's the advantage of XLOOKUP over VLOOKUP. So for XLOOKUP, so let's do for region. So if you go to your data, if you look at your region, you will notice that your region is behind your order ID. Let me bold in this. Good. If you look at your region is before this order ID. VLOOKUP would not look to the left. It will keep looking to the right. Now, how your XLOOKUP? When you have selected your lookup value for your order ID, so let's say this is our equals to XLOOKUP. What's my lookup value? I am using my order ID to look for it. So I've selected my order ID. Then I hit my comma. What is a lookup array? I'm selecting my lookup array, which is the order ID, comma. What do I want to return? What's my return array? I'll just select what I want it to return for me. I'll select then I hit my enter. I hope you understand.
Yes.
But for your VLOOKUP, it has to start from your lookup value. That is where it needs to start. But for those that don't have XLOOKUP, that are still using Excel 2019, 16, 13, then they can use index and match. So this is the combination of two functions, which is the index. So what does index does? So index will and match equals to match. Okay, good. So what will index give you? Index will return a row number or a column number for you. Then match will return the value or the content in a cell for you. So what are you now trying to? You are bringing the two functions together, that I want you to go and return the value that is in this particular column number. That is you bringing your index and match together. So how do you go about this? So when you type your equals to index, so first, what do we want to return? We want to return our region. Good. Equals to index what do you want to return? You want to return your region. Then you go to your data. Then you select your region. Good. Comma. On what row number? You don't know the row number. So how would you bring in your row number? That is when you can now use your match to match your ID to another ID. Since your ID is a specific ID, then come and match it together to the same ID on my data. So then I'm bringing my match. So match. So what will match request for? What's your lookup value? So my lookup value is what? My other ID. Then hit your comma. On what array are you looking for this particular ID that you selected? So this is my other ID. Then hit your comma. Do you want it to return the exact match or an approximate match? I want it to return the exact match. Then you hit your enter. So this is how your index match will work for you. Please, do you understand this index match? Or should we go over it once again?
Please go over it once again.
Let's go over it once again.
Okay, good. So we should see this as a map. You know, for you to work with a map, you would need your longitude and latitude. It is a tool that will give you the exact position that you are going. So now your index will return the contents of a cell. The match will return the position. It will tell you this thing that you want to return is on column 2, is on column 3. Match will tell you that what is on column 3 is Ade. So you are bringing the two together, that the value that is on column 3 or row 3, I want to see the contents. Either it is on the left or it is on the right. Now, in this case, I want to return my country. I'm saying equals to index. So this is the index. So where do you want to return? Where is the array? What content do you want me to bring in for you? I'm saying I want you to give me my country. Good. Then I go to my data. Then I select my country. Good. Then I hit my comma. Then the next argument is the row number. The country that you want me to return for you, it is on row what? You don't know the row, but you have a particular ID that can trace you down to the row number. I hope you are understanding. You know that you want to return your country. Good. Now, index is asking me that this country you want to return, it is on one particular row. Then I don't know the row number, but I have a guide that can lead me to the row number, which is my other ID. So I'll now say, okay, no problem. Since match will return the column number for me, I'll say match. Match. Good. What does match request for? Match request for a lookup value and a lookup array and the match type. These are the major arguments for your match. So what is your lookup value? I'm looking for a particular order ID. I'll say, okay, this is the order ID I'm looking for. I'm looking for this particular order ID. I've selected it, comma. Go and match it up with the other ID that is on my database. Match it up with this other ID here. Then comma. Then what value do you want? I want you to give me the exact match. Then close your parentheses. Then enter, which is this. Do you understand? Or should I still go for it again?
Understood.
Okay, good. So I would assume we all understand this. So do we have any questions since we only have 8 minutes left? So any question for the day, since we have already touched our VLOOKUP, if statements, so and we've also done our index match. Okay, good. So for cases where what you are looking for does not return. So let's say this ID does not exist. You would notice that it is showing NA, telling me I can't find this. Non-appearance, not found. This other ID that you told me to go and look for in your database or on your table, I can't find it. Then you are now saying NA, NA, NA. But you can't send out this report like this. How do you go about this? This is where you now have functions called your if NA and your if error. You have your if NA and your if error. And you have your if error. You have your if error. Good. So instead of it to be showing NA, you don't want it to show NA. You want it to show not found. If there's an error in the formula or you can't find the formula, I don't want you to show me NA. I want you to tell me not found. How do you go about that? Now I already have my index match. Before my index match, I can just type my if NA. Good. So value is the first thing. So my formula, which is the index match, is my value. So if this my value returns NA, what should it do for me? It should say not found. Not found. Not found. Then I close my parentheses, then enter. Not found. So I need to remove the P. Good. So this is not found. So let's assume we have another ID here that does not exist also. You can see if you can drag your formula down, then it will tell you this is not found. If you can look closely and check your ID, then you correct your ID, then it can find your value that you want it to return. I think we would need to stop here for today so that we can ask any question that we have. So thank you very much, everyone. So any question? Any question? So do we understand our VLOOKUP, our XLOOKUP, our if statements, and our index match? Do we understand that? So I assume we all understand that. Okay, good. Thank you very much. So see you guys next time. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.